sklearnclusterOPTICS. Description: Optics ordering points to identify the clustering structure is a density-based clustering algorithm that is an extension of DBSCAN. It addresses the limitations of DBSCAN by providing a hierarchical representation of clusters, allowing for the identification of clusters of varying densities and sizes. Optics uses the concept of reachability distances to order data points and identify clusters. Inputs: X a 2D array of data points, where each row represents a data point. Minsamples: minimum number of samples required in a neighborhood to be considered a core point. This parameter is used to determine the density of the clusters. Outputs: cluster labels: a 1D array of cluster labels for each data point. -1 indicates noise points. Reachability plot: a 2D array containing reachability distances for each data point. This plot helps visualize the clusters and their hierarchy. Ordering: a 1D array containing the order in which the data points were processed by optics. Steps: for each data point, calculate the reachability distances to all other data points. This distance is calculated based on the distance between 2 points and the density of their neighborhood. Sort the data points based on their reachability distances, resulting in a hierarchical representation of the data. Identify clusters as valleys in the reachability plot, where the reachability distances are low. Metrics: Silhouette score: a metric that measures the quality of the clustering by evaluating pay similarity of data points within a cluster compared to points in other clusters. Kalinski-Haraba's index: a metric that measures the ratio between the within-cluster dispersion and between-cluster dispersion. A higher score indicates better separation between clusters. Visualization plots: reachability plot: a plot that shows the reachability distances for each data point, revealing the cluster hierarchy. Cluster dendrogram: a hierarchical representation of the clusters, where the height of each branch represents the density of the cluster. Fine-tune parameters: minsamples: the minimum number of samples required to form a core point. Lower values lead to more clusters, while higher values result in fewer clusters. Maxups: the maximum distance for reachability distance calculation. This parameter influences the size of the clusters. Metric: the distance metric used to calculate the reachability distances between data points. Uncertainty methods: bootstrap aggregation bagging: train multiple optics models on different subsamples of the data and combine their predictions to estimate the uncertainty. Monte Carlo dropout: introduce dropout in the optics algorithm to estimate the uncertainty in pay predictions. Challenges and fixes. Challenge 1: overfitting to noise or outliers. Sample use case: when the data contains a large number of outliers, optics might identify small, dense clusters around these outliers. Fixes: pre-process the data to remove outliers before applying optics. Experiment with different values of minsamples to adjust the density threshold and reduce pay impact of outliers. Challenge 2: difficulty in identifying clusters with varying densities. Sample use case: in datasets with clusters of different densities, optics might fail to identify all clusters, particularly those with lower density. Fixes: try different values of minsamples to capture clusters with different densities. Consider using other clustering algorithms like DBSCAN or HDBSCAN, which are also density-based but offer different strengths.